He moved to an abandoned alien outpost to start over, but what he found changed everything. Beginning, the shuttle touched down on the barren plateau with a groan of metal against metal. Dust billowed outward, painting the gray sky in muted copper tones. Nathan Hale pressed his forehead against the cabin's cold glass, staring out at the ruin before him. The outpost looked like the skeletal remains of some giant insect. Spindly towers, collapsed domes, and rusted conduits spidering across the ground. Once, decades ago, this station had been a hub of alien commerce. Now it was nothing but an echo. "Welcome to Orivon Outpost 12. The shuttle's automated voice announced cheerily, as though the place wasn't half swallowed by sand. "Population 1. Nathan snorted and grabbed his duffel bag. "Population 1. That's the point. He had nothing left back on Earth, no family, no job, and a divorce that had left him hollow. His decision to lease an abandoned alien station at the fringes of charted space had sounded insane even to himself. But the cheap rates were all he could afford, and in truth, he wanted the isolation. Somewhere out here, no one would ask about his failures. The airlock hissed open, revealing a corridor lined with cracked alien glyphs and dust an inch thick. He coughed, switching on his headlamp. The beam caught fractured glass panels, and the curling remains of signage written in a script no human had deciphered. The silence was immense. Nathan keyed on his wrist pad, syncing the outpost's remaining power grid to his control. Lights flickered to life in a stuttering sequence, illuminating empty chambers, a collapsed mess hall, and a central hub that still clung stubbornly to life. "All right," Nathan whispered to himself. "Home sweet home." Middle. The first week passed in sweat and labor. Nathan patched wiring, scrubbed out mold, and jury-rigged the filtration units. Solar collectors on the plateau still functioned, supplying just enough energy for life support. At night, he would sit in the central hub, staring at the alien murals carved into the walls. They depicted tall, willowy figures with elongated arms, their faces smooth like masks. Some images showed them carrying crystal-like objects. Others depicted them looking upward at a sky full of ships. No one knew what had happened to them. The species, nicknamed the air ruin by xenologists, had vanished a century ago, leaving their station scattered like forgotten bones. Nathan told himself he didn't care. History wasn't his concern. He just wanted a place to breathe, without judgment. But by the second week, he began to notice oddities. First, there were the noises. Scraping sounds in the corridors at night. Faint clicks, like someone tapping metal against stone. Then came the power surges, lights flickering in synchronized pulses, as though following a rhythm. One night, as he was repairing a water recycler, his lamp beam caught something on the wall. A fresh marking. It wasn't there before. The symbol resembled an eye, carved shallowly into dust-covered metal. Its edges were crisp, new. Nathan froze, heart hammering. No one else is here. No one. He backed away, trying to laugh it off. Maybe it was old, and he just hadn't noticed. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't alone. Days stretched into uneasy weeks. Nathan began to keep his plasma cutter at his side at all times. He set up motion sensors, but they detected nothing. Still, new markings appeared every morning. Circles, lines, and shapes that seemed to spiral outward from the central hub. Then, on the 31st day, the dream came. He saw one of the air ruins standing in the hub. Its body glowed faintly, like a figure made of mist and starlight. It raised its hand and pointed at him, then at the murals. Its mouth opened, but the sound was like static in his ears. Nathan jolted awake, gasping, sweat soaking his sheets. The hub's lights were flickering again, once, twice, 3 times in that same rhythm. The following day, Nathan discovered something extraordinary. Hidden beneath one of the murals was a hatch he'd never noticed. The newly etched symbols on the wall formed an arrow pointing to it. After hours of prying, the hatch creaked open, revealing a chamber beneath the station. Inside were rows of crystal-like pods, faintly humming with energy. At the center stood a console. When he touched it, The crystals lit up in unison, filling the room with blue light. Images flickered in the air. Stars, maps, data streams, and alien script. And then faces. The Erewhon alive, speaking in voices like wind over glass. It wasn't just an outpost. It was a library. And the outpost wasn't abandoned at all. For the next month, Nathan threw himself into studying the system. His wrist pad translated fragments of the alien data. The Erewhon had been explorers, cartographers of the stars. The crystals were memory cores, records of worlds they had visited, species they had met, knowledge they had preserved. But then the records turned dark. Whole sectors marked in red glyphs. Notes of consumption and erasure. Something had hunted them, wiping out colonies, scattering survivors. The last entry chilled Nathan to bone. We have hidden ourselves in a lattice. If they come, let the memory remain. The future depends on it. He didn't know what the lattice meant, but he was certain of one thing. The Erewhon hadn't vanished. They had gone somewhere else. And now, someone or something was trying to guide him to find them. The rising threat. Nathan began broadcasting encrypted snippets of the Erewhon data to nearby human relay stations, hoping to alert xenologists. But before any reply could come, an unknown vessel entered the system. It wasn't human. The ship was jagged, black as void, its hull bristling with needle-like protrusions. It orbited the plateau in silence, scanning. Nathan's heart sank as he realized this is what destroyed them. That night, the dreams returned. The Erewhon figure appeared again, closer this time. Its hand touched his chest. Images flashed in his mind. Coordinates, a key-like shape, and a voice that finally pierced the static. Keeper. He woke with the word burning in his ears. Keeper. They had chosen him. The black vessel descended the next day. Nathan barely had time to reroute power before its beams lanced into the outpost. The station groaned as walls crumbled. But instead of running, Nathan activated the console in the crystal chamber. The symbols blazed alive, forming a protective barrier around the room. Outside, the alien ship screeched in frustration, hammering the plateau with weapons fire. Inside, Nathan realized what the Erewhon had left behind. The lattice wasn't a place. It was here, in the crystals. They had uploaded themselves. Their entire species, consciousness, memory, soul, preserved in data, waiting for a keeper to awaken them. And the destroyers had come to erase even that. Climax. With the station cracking around him, Nathan made his choice. He connected his wrist pad directly to the console, opening a link. The data surged into him like a flood of fire. His body convulsed as alien knowledge poured through his mind, maps, languages, technology, even fragments of Erewhon thoughts. His vision split into layers, human and something more. The destroyer ship breached the outpost defenses, sending drones into the corridors. They crawled like insects, blades gleaming. But Nathan was no longer just Nathan. He raised his hand, and the crystals pulsed in response. The drones froze mid-stride, seized by a field of invisible energy. One by one, they shattered into fragments. Through the lattice, Nathan spoke, not in human words, but in the Erewhon tongue. The black ship shuddered, its systems faltering under the assault of 1,000 stored minds channeling through him. A final surge of light erupted from the chamber, a beam that speared into the sky and tore through the destroyer's hull. The vessel split apart in silence, its fragments burning as they fell into the planet's thin atmosphere. The ground trembled, then grew still. Nathan collapsed, gasping, every nerve on fire. But the crystals pulsed gently, as though reassuring him. Ending. Weeks passed. The station was scarred, but functional. Nathan had repaired what he could, guided by whispers in his mind. The Erewhon were with him now. Millions of voices, all contained in the lattice, all sharing his body as their anchor. He was not alone. Not anymore. One evening, as he stood on the plateau watching the twin sunset, he heard the voice again. Clearer than ever. You are keeper. You are bridge. Nathan smiled faintly. He had come here to escape his past, to vanish into solitude. Instead, he had become the guardian of an entire lost civilization. And perhaps, just perhaps, humanity would learn from them too. He looked at the horizon where the stars would soon rise. Somewhere out there, more destroyers might come. But Nathan was ready. The outpost was no longer abandoned. It was alive. And so was he.